And we're coming to you live from the Horseshoe Casino in Hammond, Indiana, and it's time for LDL TV's Billy C's Boxcino Weigh-In Special, being brought to us by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Restaurant Day,
which I will be at
St.
next Saturday,
Simons, Georgia. And I'm joined with Sal Cenicola, Blakely Berger, and the man himself, Daniel Edouard, the Haitian sensation who's going to be part of the Boxcino tournament. He just is fresh off the scale, and he's dying to get some food in him, so we'll figure we'll give him a talk right now. Daniel, what's going on, man? What's your whole thoughts on this whole situation?
I'm feeling good. My opponent, he's a little overweight right now, so we gotta hang out for a little bit and watch him come back and make sure he cuts that weight. But as for me, I'm feeling great.
You know, you weighed 160 on the nose. He weighed 162.2, I think.
Yeah.
And the contract I heard was 160 plus 1.
Yeah.
So now explain to everybody what's going to be taking place right now.
Well, I guess for him, he has to go and run around and lose that weight, and then he's got to sit here and make sure he makes that weight. And but he looks like he's on some steroids or something. So he's got a lot of. I don't know how he's gonna lose that pound because he's ripped, he's cut.
You know, the funny thing about it is, we were talking earlier, Blakely and I, and you have been out of the ring for quite a while. If anybody was going to come in overweight, I would have thought it would have been you, but you came right on. What's your thoughts on a younger guy, 10 years younger, not that I want to divulge it, but 10 years younger than you, a guy that fought a few times last year, he's coming in overweight. What does that do to a fighter?
To me, that's unprofessional. Because
what does that do for him going into this tournament, which we saw how it was last week? I mean, what does that do for him? Does that put extra pressure on him, you think?
It does a little bit. It does a little bit because in your mindset, you spend sometimes a day fasting and getting ready for the weigh-in. That's usually the first fight, is that weigh-in.
That's right.
And then for someone he's lean. So when we're lean like that, you're you're watching every calorie, every sip, every spit, everything. So to come in and you be overweight, thinking you're on weight, because he came on there, he asked, do I have to take my shirt off? So he thought that he was under. Yeah. So he clearly miscalculated. So when you miscalculate, that means there was something wrong in camp. That's very unprofessional. When you're not sure if you're a pound and a half over. So for him, I'm sure he's very frustrated right now because he's not. In your mindset, how can I be overweight? I mean, I never think that. So now you have to go and lose that weight. And there's no sauna, there's no steam room, so you have to go and work it off. So it was like 45 minutes of work that you didn't anticipate for. So it does have a mental bother, but sometimes it makes you more hungry too. It all depends, but I really don't care.
Well, now for you in your camp now, knowing that your opponent, which you knew coming in was younger and all of this, now you know that he's battling to lose some weight. Does that change your game plan at all?
Actually, when we came to this, we knew that him being young and him being strong, his nickname is the Cannon, so we knew he was going to be, he's a presser fighter. He doesn't throw punches and bunches, so he's not, and you can tell the way him being cut like that, he's not a fluid fighter, meaning he's not a fighter that can throw punches and combinations. He's never been past 4 rounds, so right now you can tell that he's going to die out. He's one of these guys that will die out after 33 rounds or something. He looks clearly like that. So that's what, I'm able to take from that. So for me, the experience, I'm great to see that, and it kind of helps me out a lot better. Because I know I trained. I trained hard, and I trained for 6 rounds. I trained for 10 rounds. So I know I'm ready for this. I'm lean, I'm mean, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go, and I'm excited. Again, I'm going to keep emphasizing on the layoff. This is actually perfect for you. It's only a 6-round fight, yes.
Which we saw last week when we got turned on by the Boxcino tournament in the lightweight division. There's no time to mess around. I mean, there's no feeling out or anything like that. I mean, this fight's going to start from the first bell right on through.
It is. But with me, with my experience, I'm going to be able to dictate it, and I'm going to enjoy dictating it because we know what he's going to do. I mean, he's a shorter, stockier guy. We know he's coming straight forward. He's blasted. And, of course, him only having 12 fights, he can only blast so much because he only knows how to blast so much. He's limited on the blast he can do. So, please, we've trained to box, but I can blast too. So we're both going to be blasting, but I'm going to be a little smarter with my blast than he is. And I'm pretty sure his blast is going to give out.
Absolutely.
You know, whether it does or doesn't, I don't care. I'm just ready to get in there and fight. I can fight right now. I mean, literally, I feel great. And this is like one of the first times I felt like this, you know, where I'm ready to fight. I mean, at the weigh-in, I feel good. It's not like I gotta run and go eat.
Right.
I don't feel like that. I just feel like, you know, hey, I eat when I eat, or I'm ready to fight. Really, I'm just ready to get this fight over with.
You know, you and I were talking real quickly earlier, and you know, we both agreed. You know, it's a great opportunity for you and for everybody that's involved in this tournament. You know, you can't look ahead though. You got to get past.
Yes. I'm not looking at the semifinals right now. I'm looking at Brandon Adams right now. And that's what I want. So all I see right now is you see all I'm talking about is the fight. You know, the first fight was the weigh-in, but we're confident on that. We knew that was easy because we worked for it. We worked months for this, and now tomorrow is the fight, and I'm ready for it. I mean, if the fight was tonight, I'd whoop his ass tonight. I mean, so I gotta wait another 24 hours to whoop his ass, which is cool. So get that done. And then I can look on. My trainers, that's their job. That's why they're there. They're watching the weigh-in. They're making sure that all those things go well, and they're making sure that the next fight, we're prepared for that. That's their job. My job right now is to prepare for Brandon Adams tomorrow and get that taken care of so we can all have a nice dinner. And then next week I'll be at Sal's shop eating a nice pizza.
I'm going to be at Sal's next week.
Yeah, when?
I'm thinking probably Saturday night.
That's what Saturday night. I won't be there Saturday. I'm looking like more Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, maybe about that. I'll try and work it around that time. But Blakely, who's a writer for BillyCBoxing.com, he's in this area, and he covers a lot of these fights here. Blakely, what do you think in terms of the crowd? What do you think Daniel and the rest of these fighters are going to be dealing with from the local crowd?
It's a great crowd. It's a great crowd at the Horseshoe. It's very vocal crowd. A much better crowd than what I've seen at the UIC Pavilion, which is where ESPN has a lot of other fights. So it's going to be a very loud crowd, very excited. And Hits does a great show, so I expect something really good for the show tomorrow. If I could just ask a question, Daniel, why the inactivity? What's been going on in your career?
Basically, just to know on what you're saying about the venue. I mean, the venue is beautiful, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful venue.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to fight at the venue. Some venues you go to, you don't even care about fighting. But this one, I'm actually excited to fight at this venue. It looks real good. But the inactivity is primarily because my new passion is coaching, and I'm the PR director for the Federation of Haiti, the Boxing Federation and Baseball Federation. But I've mainly been working on the Boxing Federation. I've doubled the numbers there, the number of clubs and teams down there in Haiti, working with the Minister of Sports. So I've just been working on that aspect. So it's not like I've been away from boxing. I've still been in there working with my fighters, training my fighters. Took a delegation of 2012 qualifiers. No one qualified. 2008, I had one guy qualify, but so my goal is 2016, hopefully get a couple guys to qualify. And I got two guys perspectives that I think should qualify for the Olympics. So that's kind of like my thing. I'm loving that, and that's kind of what made me get back in the ring, is because I'm working with these fighters, I'm training them, and they're not much younger than me. They're like 24, 25, 26, and they keep bugging me. I'm sparring them, I'm beating their asses, and they're like, yo, man, I can beat her ass for like 2 rounds. And then I'm like, I know when to stop, Yeah. I'll do like a round with this guy, show him something. I'll do another round with this guy. I'll do another. So I do the round spread out, and they're like, man, why are you not fighting stuff? We don't get it. Like, at the time I was 32, I'm 33 now, and they're like, why are you not fighting? And then seeing Sal get in there, it's like, if Sal can do it, come on. I mean, no offense, but if Sal can do it, I can do it. He took 25 years off.
I was just going to say,
25 years off.
I was going to ask Sal. Here we are. We're shocked that Daniel, the Haitian sensation, took a couple of years off. He took a couple of decades. What's going through your mind as we're sitting here, asking him how it's going to feel for being out for a couple of years?
And that's a great question. Daniel, being a professional, as he is, as I was, and still am.
I love his shirt, though. The Ninja Turtle shirt.
Ninja Turtle. And when I wait, I had my SpongeBob boxers on. I gotta have fun with it.
Yeah. I can empathize, and I understand totally what he was saying about showing people how to do something and still feel like, boom, you could do it a little better, a little faster, a little more proficient. And that's the same thing how I felt all along. You know what? Nobody's going to turn that jab or slip a punch like that and come in underneath or do whatever they got to do. It's so why am I still on the outside? And it was a burning desire for me that, John knows how long I was trying to get back in the ring. I got caught up with life, and I just could not put everything else on hold. I had the opportunity to finally do something, and I took a little time, and I took about a year to train to get back into shape, and that was great. And like Daniel and I were talking, you flip that switch on, you put the blinders on, you focus, you commit to it. The prize has to be worth the price, and there's no turning back. Once you commit to it, that's it. The fire's lit, and you're going to burn it. You're going to burn it to a big flame until it burns out again. And that's how it works. You turn that switch on. I know what he's feeling right now.
Well, he, from what I understand, this was an inspiration. Sal, when Sal, when you were right there, you were part of the whole thing, and you saw the layoff, and you saw how hard he worked, and you must have said to yourself, "Damn, I could do that."
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like Sal has this.
That's exactly what he said.
Sal has this youthful exuberance about him that I'm still shocked about. I mean, even now, I'm like, what the heck is wrong? I'm like, don't miss your hand. Don't miss your hand. It's like, I mean, he has this youthful exuberance about him that I still can't explain for myself. I'm like, where does he get that energy from? I'm like, so, I mean, it's just seeing that, all of that, and then with my young fighters, and it's like, why? Why just give it a shot? And then to come back to this, ESPN, a tournament, I mean, it's perfect. 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds. I mean, what better way can I couldn't ask for anything better than this to come back. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. And if I feel like I want to be a world championship contender or a world champion, this is a perfect opportunity to get me there, to be there, and to show the world I deserve to be there. And I'm happy to be there.
I love this tournament. I love the whole concept, and I think it's a great opportunity for you. I know you got to go and eat and stuff, but before you do, what's your game plan for tomorrow against Brandon Adams?
Have fun. Literally, it's just have fun.
I had fun.
I'm just going to have fun and round by round. I'm going to take it round by round. I'm not
6 different fights?
Yes, 6 different fights. Literally, I'm going to have 6 different fights in there. It might be 3, it might be 2. So, but it's round by round. And I
hope there's only one.
Yeah,
there's only one.
So I'm just going to have fun in there because, I mean, my main thing, like I said, I've been training, I've been coaching and teaching, and all this stuff I've been teaching my guys. I was like, why didn't I apply these things when I was fighting? So now my main thing is I'm excited to get in there and really work on all the different things I've been working, my head movement, sticking that jab, not lunging, just the different things that I need for myself to make myself feel better.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you say head movement, and that was one thing I had said to Sal when I watched Sal fight, after all those years. Here he is, a 97-year-old guy in the ring, and he's doing and his head movement was more than what you see today. It seems like a lot of young fighters
they don't do it.
Don't work the body and don't move their head. They head hunt.
And that's the two things. Those are 2 things we've been working on is my head movement. Because, I mean, I didn't do that before. But I taught all my fighters, move your head, bob and weave, move your head, bob and weave. And I'm like, I didn't do that. So I was like, I've been working on that and then sticking that jab. And then, of course, body shots. I mean, these guys don't do that. And a body shot is, I mean, I always teach my young guys, body, body, body. Body, body, because even as amateur, I still tell them, body, body, body. It's 3-4 rounds, but still spin a round or 2, body, body, body. Because those last 2 rounds, hey, you can still have fun and beat them up. So I get to apply all that, and I'm happy because they're going to be watching, and I get to show them with the coach. The coach gets to show the youngsters what it's like in there, and I get to beat up a youngster doing it.
Let me tell you, and what he is going to experience and what he has experienced already is the paradox there. When you're training someone, you're actually positioning yourself to become a better fighter, and then when you're a better fighter and you're ready to go on again to train, you're going to be ready, and you're going to be even more proficient and give what you can with the passion to show these guys how to defend themselves and how to have a great offense.
And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
You're coming full circle.
It's perfect because, like I said, this tournament is on TV, ESPN, and I've been fighting on ESPN for 10 years. So to be back here again is like, I mean, you don't get that many opportunities like this in life. And like at the gym back home, these guys were like, man, they was talking to me about boxing. I'm like, listen, it's a dream. And that's all it is. Boxing is a dream. So they're like, I'm going to stop working and box. I said, you're still an amateur. I mean, keep your day job. I mean, this is a dream. I said, but some dreams do come true. And I'm like, I get to live like, I don't know how many dreams I've lived with this boxing, but I've lived like so many different dreams. HBO, Showtime, ESPN, Fox. I mean, it's been wonderful, and I get to do it all over again.
Man,
I was just gonna say,
great.
you have a great opportunity. This is a great tournament. I love what they're doing with this, and we wish you all the luck in the world, my man.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Now I'm going to go gobble, gobble.
All right, man.
Don't overdo it.
Well, you do what you want. You keep up the good work, my man.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care, buddy. Good seeing you.
Daniel Edouard, the Haitian sensation. He's going to be part of the Boxcino tournament tomorrow. And, Blakely, I was going to call you Brad. I got Timothy Bradley on my mind. But Blakely, we were talking a lot about this whole tournament and how evenly matched everything is from every fight. I mean, from last week when you looked at the lightweights up to this week. I mean, what's your thoughts on this tournament right now?
It's very tough to pick winners in this tournament. In the lightweight fights last week, there were 3 out of 4 of those fights ended with upsets. That's almost unheard of. You're lucky to get 3 upsets in a week in the world. 3 of those fights were upsets. 2 of the fights were ended with huge upsets. So it just shows you in a 6-round fight in a tournament setting, anything can happen. I think these fighters, they see that, well, if I win tonight, there's another guaranteed TV fight for me, and it's very soon. And they rise to the occasion. They do things that they might not be able to do. Chris Rudd last week, amazing.
He was my one I got wrong. I would have never thought, nothing against Chris Rudd, but I would have never thought, based on his level of opposition and all that stuff. And Sal, I wanted to ask you a question. The matchups that we saw last week, and then again this week. Eric Botcher's the matchmaker here. You know Eric very well. He did a fantastic job, right?
Let me tell you, Eric Botcher, bar none. I mean, I've worked with a lot of matchmakers, going way back to Teddy Brenner days with ESPN. My show a couple times with ESPN and Bob Arum, to what I've seen that Eric Botcher has done for many, many years. Eric, he definitely. I mean, he's a fight technical advisor. He knows these fighters. He knows what's inside. He knows how fights are made as far as styles make fights. And he knows each fighter, their strengths, their weaknesses, because that's what he's studied.
Yeah, no.
And you never know. You never know which one fighter's heart or mind. And any fighter could get beaten in any given night.
That's the beauty of the sport.
That's the beauty of the sport. Yeah. And one of the things that I appreciate what Daniel Edouard was saying, he said tactically, he's going to fight each round or 6 different fights.
Yeah.
Now, when you're in a tournament setting like this or any setting, same thing when I made my comeback last year. I knew I had to win these rounds. And you have the ability to go out there and be dominant and know that you have one under your belt. Let's do another. Let's do this. And, so you look at it round by round. It is different fights each round. You go out to win every round. And that's how you do it.
You're watching Billy C's Boxcino weigh-in special here on LDL TV, being brought to us by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Restaurante in St. Simons Island, Georgia. I'm joined with Blakely Berger from BillyCBoxing.com, Sal Cenicola, and joining us right now is Daniel Edouard, the Haitian sensation. It's like a tongue twister for me today. His trainer, Lou Martinez. Lou, glad you could give us some time. One of the questions I was asking Daniel, now I'll ask it from a trainer's point of view. We had your opponent came in overweight, and obviously that's some things that Brandon Adams has to worry about, losing that weight and everything else. Does that change your game plan for Daniel at all? I mean, knowing that his opponent now is going to struggle to lose over a pound. It's more than a pound. He didn't look like he had much body fat.
Right, no, absolutely. And, that he came in over was surprising to me because if you look at his record going back, he's always been on the high side of a junior middleweight. So I really
He's listed as a junior middleweight.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he was going to come in a little lighter than he did. He just probably they gave away that 1 pound for the tournament's sake, so he probably underestimated everything and took a little extra to eat last night. But whatever the case, he has to pay for it today. Doesn't change our game plan going into this fight. It's not that. That is not going to change anything he does in the ring. It's still going to come with the same style he's had in the last few fights, which we've watched over and over. And I don't feel that what we're going to see is anything different. I don't feel what we're going to see is going to give us any problems.
You know, a lot of times when I talk to fighters with, that come in overweight and stuff, the first thing they say is, oh, man, I weighed perfect on my scale.
Of course.
Is that something that fighters need to consider, like when they're doing a check weight, which scale are they checking their weight on?
Right.
And, how's it going to differ from the commission
absolutely.
scale?
But, we had a scale, too, and we checked that. We checked our weight with our scale, and that seemed to be working. So, you just got to make sure that the calibration on your scale is close to what is proper, which, all the electronic scales they have now at weigh-ins, those are on point. So, as long as you have an electronic one that you're checking with, as we did, and, we came in at the same exact weight that our test scale said, so
right on the button.
That's no excuse.
Lou, you're involved with the Golden Gloves and everything else. What's your thoughts on this whole concept of this tournament, how it's laid out and all that stuff?
Oh, it's great. Well, coming from Golden Glove backgrounds, we hold the franchise to the Florida Golden Gloves. Tournament style fighting is what we do at the Golden Gloves. We got ours for Florida coming up in March, which takes us into the national tournament this year is in May. So I like the tournament style. There's no and ifs or buts about it. You got to win or you're out, and you got to perform.
I love it too.
Yeah.
And Blakely, I know that we talk about it on the show a lot. Do you think that Banner has kind of laid the groundwork here, that maybe we're going to see some more of these from other promoters?
I hope so. I mean, it's a great concept. I love it. The Super 6 was great, although it took 3 years or two years to get through it. This is a 4-month, 5-month process, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I loved last week's show, like I said. And I do have a question for you. Your opponent is very offensive-minded, and I don't see much defense from him. How are you guys planning on capitalizing on that?
That could be to his detriment. Danny Edwards is the type of fighter that when you bring it to him, he gets a little bit better. His notch rises a little bit, So I think that's somebody that lays back with Danny, then it's a little more of a tactical fight. When they bring it to us, I think for us, that's really to our advantage. So
That's great.
I'm hoping that happens. We've been off, of course, for 3 years now. Danny has. To knock the rust off is in front of a crowd. Is what we have to do. We've already done that inside the gym. We've had 80 rounds of sparring for this, and it's a 6-round fight. This fight, if it benefits anybody in this tournament, is us coming back off a long layoff and then doing 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds. That's exactly what we would have done not being in a tournament.
But the thing is, one thing we saw last week with the lightweight tournament, and Blakely and I were talking about this before, one of the favorites to win the whole thing lost. And Amadou. And his problem is that he's traditionally a slow starter. It takes him 4 rounds to get going, and that's what happened last week.
Right.
And ultimately, he came up on the short end. Daniel isn't going to have that luxury.
Well, and luckily, I don't think we're the favorites here. So that's on our behalf, that's a good thing.
See, I look at it, and I think aside from the layoff, I thought you were the favorite, in my opinion.
Well, you got to consider the layoff, so I don't think a lot of people see us as the favorite because of the long layoff.
Right.
It is what it is. We haven't been off and away from boxing. We've been in the gym the whole time. We haven't had a fight, but he did not blow up to 214 pounds and then make this decision. He's always walked around close to his fight weight. I think that looking at us and the favorites in this that's not who wins this stuff. So we just want to be considered one of the many in the tournament.
What are you weighing now, Sal? You thinking about this tournament or what?
Well, there you go again. I am thinking. And, if I had my rotator cuff repaired, I probably would be right in the tournament. There you go.
Now we're out. I'd have to pull Danny out.
I love boxing. I love boxing. I mean, it's been ingrained in me and part of my whole life. And just being around the game, the people. I mean, this is beautiful, and I just love the competitive nature. And I'm a throwback, as we know, to the old days of boxing. I loved it. And the 70s, the 80s, when I fought, it was a haymaker days in a prime. I mean, you had the fighters that were doing their homework, doing their due diligence, were warriors. And there's a good class of fighters today as well. But, there's just so much that I can recall and bring back to life, just with a memory, and just be so grateful that I've had the opportunity to walk in my boxing shoes and to do what I've had, including making dreams come true. And that is all passion. That's all fire in the belly. That's all focus. That's all diligence. And that's what that mind does. You know, you decide something, you got the mental ability to focus and do something, and you want something to be true, want something to work, you can do it. You just got to believe in yourself. You got to do your homework and make it happen. And that's what too many people give up on. And that's why I can really appreciate what Daniel's going to do.
I agree with that. You know, Blakely covers a lot of fights around here. We were talking about the local crowd. Bobby Hitz, who's co-promoting this event, he's got a following. When he does a show, you know, people know that, you know, Bobby puts on a good show, so, you know, people come and everything else. What's this tournament? That's got to be lighting some interest locally, like people aren't used to seeing this type of format. Do you think that's going to help with the gate tomorrow?
I think it will, definitely, especially because there is a local guy in this tournament, Donata Spondarovas, who's a good fighter. I've seen him fight here before. I think he's fought at Horseshoe Casino 3 or 4 times. He's never lost here. And so I think that's going to do a lot for the crowd. I think he's got a big following. And like you said, Hits puts on these shows, and people will just put the shows on their calendar. They just know it's a fun night. And it always is. There's always a lot of knockouts. He matches his local guys against people who, shall we say, may not be.
Are going to get knocked out.
Exactly, yeah. And they do. And it's always fun. So I think
Except
it's
for the other
a good
guy,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, you know. They
Well,
like it.
Lou, obviously these tournaments are laid out where the competition is pretty even, and I know you were focusing on your draw, who you guys got, and all that stuff. But as a trainer and as a technician, have you looked at some of the other opponents and thought in your mind, maybe not discussed it with Daniel, but when and if you had to face these guys? I mean, is that something that you have to do? You have to evaluate each one of these fighters?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, and I've already done that. And like you said, I haven't discussed it with Daniel because we don't want to get beyond the point.
Keep focused on one.
Yeah, we gotta win this fight first.
Right.
But definitely, I'm looking ahead, and it's a toss-up who wins. But I'm watching everybody's style. It takes us back, like we were talking a little while ago, about amateur tournament style. You're fighting a million styles inside of a tournament, so it's kind of fun. It takes it back to that,
Yeah.
And the good thing about tomorrow is, as it stands, we're the first fight. I'm gonna come.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna come right back out and be able to watch all the other fights. So I don't have to be back getting my guy ready while the other fights are going on. So
Let me ask a question, and all three of you can give me your thoughts, and we'll start with you, Luz. Do you think that ESPN and Banner Promotions and this whole Boxcino tournament and the success that we so far have seen with it, not only interest level, but with the fights and the quality of fights last week, and I'm kind of anticipating quality fights tomorrow night. Do you think we're going to see more of this in other weight divisions? Do you think other promoters are going to try and do this? I mean, is this something that you think we can count on in the near future? What do you think first?
Well, yeah, I think so. I kind of like it, because I'm so big into the amateur that it's kind of what we do in that environment. And like he said, the Showtime tournament was great. The time was kind of long lapsing for the 3 years. I guess when you get with guys of that high level, there's a lot of
they don't fight like this tournament. They're fighting again in another month and a half.
Another month. You got to hope that you don't get a cut. You got to hope you don't break pull a strain of muscle, pull a ligament, tendon. And but as boxing should be. You know what I mean? It's not a golf. So
no.
It should be a test of physical conditioning and mental fortitude. So the faster the next one comes, the more you have, the test you have to get ready for. So.
Keep them busy. What do you think, Sal?
Billy, I'll tell you, I get asked 100 times a day, what's happening with boxing? Why is boxing not where it used to be? And I simply have to believe we have to recultivate young stars. We have to have the personalities out there. We have to have the fighters that will become people that look up to as a mentor, as somebody special. And I think these tournaments, ESPN used to do tournaments in the 80s. And I think these tournaments can help cultivate, give a life story, a background, give it up close and personal. And I think that is a good feeding, a good well to start watering the crops again. You know, this is what it's going to be. Out of sight, out of mind. But it's going to take more than just a panel of guys saying that's what we have to do. It's going to be more where we have to do it. We got to make it happen. We need the shakers and the makers in this industry to get up and do it the way it should be done. Start from scratch and cultivate, make these fighters. And promote them, and then give them the top, like you guys are doing now. And you are the shakers and the movers, and things like this, and programs like you have, and the writing that you have, and the fighters. This is the passion, this is the fire. We have to reignite and relight this whole boxing business and the whole boxing the way it should be, because it's no other sport like it in the world.
Yeah, but again, we got to give Eric Botcher a lot of credit because he put all these guys together, and this was a guy that gets all these names together. You put the names in a hat, you shake them out, and you end up with all these great matchups. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better situation, right, Blakely?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. And, you know, thinking about this tournament, what's the most exciting one-day show in boxing? It's the prize fighter.
That's right.
It's where they do.
I love that. I wish we did that here.
I wish they would show it here. I have to tune in to some illegal stream just to see the thing, you know? They should do it here. It's fun. It's, you know, they have the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals all on the same day.
And they have other fights on the card.
And other fights.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So you win your first fight, you go back to the dressing room for a half an hour, you come back and fight again, and you talk about not wanting to get a cut.
Right, I was just going to say, you talk about not wanting to get a cut or something, you're done.
And some of those guys have to go back and fight the second fight with a cut.
Depending upon how serious it is. You know.
So I would love to have that in the U.S. I would love to have that on ESPN.
I
or
agree.
something
It's
similar.
beautiful.
It'd be amazing.
You know,
my
my thing, you know, I was looking at the, you know, long-term ramifications from these tournaments, and I said, you know, these fighters, the winner of each of these tournaments, obviously, is going to get, you know, some great financial opportunities, you know, for title shots and what have you. But then I found out that they're even giving a belt away for winning this. Like if you win a, you know, which, you know, I mean, that's great, you know, in theory. But it falls back to something we talk about on my show all the time with the devaluation of belts. I mean, you know, you have all these belts. I mean, you know, this is a different situation.
That's part of the saturation of what's happened in boxing.
Yeah, well, there's too many champions.
Too many champions. It's like my kids playing soccer at 5 years old. Everyone wins. You know, there's time you got to cut it off and say, hey, you guys, this is how you strive for perfection. Do your due diligence. Be focused. Be an athlete. And now they're at that age, 10, 14. They understand there's a winner and a loser.
The funny thing is you talk to these kids, you know, they're playing T-ball or something like that and not keeping score. Ask any kid on the field what the score is. They'll tell you what the score is. They know what's going on.
They know what's going on. They know what's going on.
No, it is a great thing. We have some other fights, too, on this tournament that we should talk about. Ray Gatica, is that how you say it? Ray Gatica and Sina Agbeko. Agbeko is undefeated 15-0 with 15 knockouts. And he's taking on Gatica, who's 13-2. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, Gatica he's a southpaw. He fights almost in the style of like a Lucien Boutte. And, you know, on a lower level, he's not probably as good as Boutte, but he's a good boxer. His opponent, Agbeko, who knows? I can't find any footage about him. I've looked at his record. I saw him at the weigh-in. He was very tall for a middleweight. And I think, I don't know, I like his height, youth, and his power. He's knocked out all of his opponents. But again, who really knows what the quality of those opponents is?
Oh, speaking of Agbeko, we got him right now.
All right.
And, you know, he's fought, we have Sina Agbeko getting mic'd up right now. We were just talking about your fight.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, this is actually the first time that you're fighting here in the States, right?
Yeah, and you know, it's a high level that I'm used to, you know, so I made sure I put in the right preparation, train really hard for this, train long and very hard for this, and, you know, I'm ready for the stage. Yeah.
Well, this is a great opportunity for all you guys, and you going into this fight undefeated, all your wins coming by knockout.
Very good.
Because you're in a situation like this, maybe you go in with a different game plan. I mean, are you changing your game plan, or are you doing what you do all the time?
Basically what I've done all the time is to go into the fight, stick to my game plan, execute it really well, and there's no other time to change it. Why change a winning plan? That's what I've done in all my 15 fights. I don't go into my fight looking for knockouts. I just go, stick to the game plan, execute it really, really well. And that's what I'm going in tomorrow night to do. I'm going in there with my plan, and I'm not looking for the KO. I'm just looking for that win.
You're actually the only fighter that I have never seen. We were just talking about you. Yeah. I've never seen any. I couldn't even. Why don't you explain to all of our viewers and listeners what should we expect from you? I mean, what's your style?
Well, I offer a bit of everything, but I lean more towards the boxer, puncher style, explosive in and out, that kind of action. Expect me to, keep punching all night. Yeah, it's a 6-rounder. You should expect a lot of action within those 6 rounds. I mean, that is if it goes the full 6 rounds. Yeah.
You've predicted a 3rd round KO. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not expecting to knock him out one punch. I'm just expecting to pile up the pressure till he buckles and then get him out of there, quickly. Train long and hard for this, like I said, and I expect to put on a really good show tomorrow night.
Have you done any research on your opponent?
Oh yeah, definitely. My team and I looked at him, and he's good. His last fight he won against a very credible opponent. So he's I can see he has some fortitude, but then I believe I can break him down tomorrow. I believe that there are certain flaws that he has, and my team and I have looked at those, and then we've worked on that. We've worked on that in training and in camp, and I believe I should be able to explore all those options tomorrow in the ring. Yeah.
What's your personal feeling about this whole tournament?
Well, I think it's a great chance, for us young boxers coming up. It's different from what's happening in boxing now, where we have all these guys who are being matched up against nobodies. Right. Then they give them the easy way to the top. But this gives you a chance to break through, and then get into the mainstream boxing in America. And coming from where I am coming from, Africa, this is a really, really big opportunity, and I plan to take full advantage of it. In pursuit of my world championship dreams.
It's funny. It's a big opportunity for all the fighters here, not just you coming from Africa. And I keep giving kudos to Eric Botcher, who found all you guys and put everybody together here. And it's a lot harder than people realize to take a group of talented fighters, put them all together, put their names in a hat, and pull out and then end up with all these great matchups. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm curious to know what your personal thoughts are on that.
Well, yeah, like I said earlier, it's different from what we're used to. Just picking opponents. These are like everyone has. It's an even playing field. You understand? In the end, it boils down to who wants it the most. You understand? Who's trained hardest for it. So, yeah, that's just about it. It's tomorrow night. We'll go in there, and then we'll see who wants it the most, and then just move on from there.
Sal Cenicola is actually a fighter. He's 54 years old. He fought last year. Maybe you too can get in there.
Well, that's more than double my age.
Wow. Hey, so what do you think, Sal? I mean, he's 15-0 with 15 knockouts.
Yeah. Well, it would be interesting.
Yeah, it would. But listen, we appreciate you stopping by, and I'm glad we had a chance to chat with you, because we had just been saying, well, we don't know much about this guy, and poof, you're here. So that's good.
And I'm very happy to have been on here, get closer to the American public, get them to know me, and I'm really happy you gave me the platform.
Well, hopefully you're going to be back again and again.
Yeah, I will be back.
I'm glad you stopped by. I want to wish you the very best of luck.
Good luck. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you.
Sina Agbeka just joined us. We were just talking about him. 15-0 with 15 knockouts.
Wow.
And nice. The words just came out of your mouth. I haven't seen any footage on it. John's like, here's Agbeko. He's right here. So that's good. Now, we just started talking about his opponent, and you were saying that Gatika is a quality opponent. Again, it seems like it's going to, on paper, it's a good matchup.
Well, he did drop Fernando Guerrero in the first round of their fight, and he also hurt him in the last round. So he fought a pretty close fight. Was it a split decision? No, a unanimous decision loss. But, he fought a good fight against Guerrero. Guerrero's not a probably not a top 10 middleweight, but he's a decent opponent, and he looked good against him. He does keep his hands down, tries to use his legs or uses his legs for defense, and I'm just not sure how that's going to play out against a much taller fighter like Agbeko.
Well, it's hard to judge a fighter based on what he tells us, But I would be lying if I said I wasn't impressed with this kid.
I was impressed with him. I like him.
He looked very confident. He looked like he's in good shape, and it seems like they've, thought this through, And,
a lot of poise for a guy half my age.
Yeah, and he's being kind because he's more than half your age.
Is he?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there could be maybe 3 of him.
Forget about it.
Did you see how old he was? I don't want to mention.
No.
Look how old he is.
Let me get my old man glasses.
Let me write it big enough for you. Let me write it big enough for you.
Oh, that's half my age.
Yeah. It's about as old as that shirt, maybe.
Close.
But anyway, that's a good matchup too, and some of the other matchups we'll talk about real quick. We know about. I should have had them in front of me. I didn't think we were going to be laying them on here right now. But your local guy, man, tell us about him.
Donatas Bondarovas, he's a good fighter. He's got a good right hand. Doesn't have a very high KO percentage, but he can punch, and I've seen him. He knocked out. I was here covering his second fight against David Thomas. Knocked him out in the second round. His performance against Brian Vera he was definitely holding his own against Brian Vera.
I was ringside for that one.
Okay.
That was up in Turning Stone. They came at, he's a tough kid. He's got a lot of heart.
How did you feel at that point when it was stopped? How was it?
He was bleeding like a stuck pig. They had to stop the fight, but he was trying. He didn't want the fight to stop. Him and his team were upset about the stoppage. Honestly, I thought he was losing the fight.
Yeah.
I thought he was losing the fight.
And
but the fight wasn't over until then.
He was cut in that fight. He was cut in the fight that I covered, which was just a few months before that, on his nose and above one of his eyes. So he said he had surgery after that fight. I don't know if he was cut in his last fight. I don't think he was. So hopefully his skin is going to hold up.
Well, that's the problem, Sal. And,
Vito Antuofermo.
we know that once you get a serious cut, it never heals, and it's always a weak spot.
I'll tell you, I tend to disagree when it comes to mine. I've had over 220 stitches.
You had 25 years to heal.
No, but never have I ever had the same cut twice. This was 36 right here. Okay.
Yeah, because what happens when they stitch you up, the scar is actually
it's
harder,
harder, but it's the skin between.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
You could do a close up, you'll see all the stitches. But I healed very well, and it's some fighters are more vulnerable. I remember seeing Vito Antuofermo. Oh my gosh! And here was a fighter that took the tools that God gave him: conditioning, hard passion, smaller middleweight. But he boxed. He was good. He plotted. He was a little defensive, but he got hit in the areas, and his eyes would bust open. But you know what? He would still carry on the fight. And I remember reading one time he even shaved the bone. Had the doctor shave the bone that would protrude the eyebrows, so it would be less of a head to butt or to punch open. But yeah, more fighters are vulnerable. Some fighters are more vulnerable to cuts than others.
How much can we say that the doctor who stitched up the fighter? How much credit does he get or discredit?
I think. Whenever I had stitches and I was on the operating table there, so I just told the doctor, I said, "Hey, doc, I got to have this cut heal in about 2 months, 3 months. I got to go back. Please do me a favor. Put crazy glue, staples. I don't care what you do. Just make sure it's going to be strong." And sure enough, like I said, I would cut, but it was never the same cut twice.
Joining us right now is Eric Botcher. You guys have been hearing me talk about the matchmaker for this, and we got Eric with us right now. And Eric, first off, congratulations. What a fantastic job. With the lightweights last week, and now, we're seemingly going to have just as competitive matches here with the middleweights. Fantastic job. Before I ask you about the fights, how the hell did you pull that one off?
Wasn't easy. We had to convince these guys They're being paid very well, but we still had to convince these guys because I knew it was a big risk to enter this tournament. 7 of the 8 guys in each weight class they're going to lose. So, it takes a lot of convincing, but with not only the financial incentive, but the incentive that if you win, you've won 3 fights on national television in less than 3 months, and your career has totally changed.
That's right.
That's right. Absolutely.
And we were talking about that before. I mean, not only, listen, we said exactly that. We said that not only are they making money for the 3 fights here, but the doors are going to open. They're all going to be in line.
Chance to showcase.
Yeah.
There's right there.
Yeah, and they're going to make look if not only the winner. I mean, whoever performs well, but the winner definitely of each tournament is going to make more money after the tournament ends because they do have the 3 wins. The 3 wins were on national TV, and they've beaten 3 good fighters with good records and hopefully exciting fights. Last Friday we had some good fights.
They were great.
And I think tomorrow night the potential is there. We're to have the same kind of show. And I think they're going to feed off of that, the fighters themselves. The semifinalists know as good as they did this past Friday and this coming Friday, they're going to have to do better to win the next round.
Now, you talk about feeding. What about these guys feeding off the success from last week and learning from a guy who I thought was one of the favorites going into the tournament last week with Amadou, him losing because of his own style. He has a tendency to start slow. You think that's going to help the guys here in this next phase where they know that they can't pussyfoot around?
Well, I think 3 things. Most of these guys are 8 and 10 round fighters, and they realize they have to fight differently because a good 6-round fighter can beat them.
Right.
And even though they're more experienced, even they may have more amateur experience, professional experience, they have to change their style of fighting in order to do better in this format. Secondly, look, these guys are competitors. So when they see what happened Friday and they read about, the excitement of the fights and the competitiveness of the fights, they've got a lot to live up to. And thirdly, they realize that, I know they realize this going in, but when they actually see it, these are hard fights.
Yeah.
And they're not going to, if they win, it's probably not going to be easy. So you saw these guys, they're ripped. The guys that when they got on the scale last Friday, I was just so impressed. Even before the fights, I said these guys are just in phenomenal shape. They all came prepared. They all had plenty of time to prepare, and none of them took it lightly. And hopefully we have the same result tomorrow.
Before I let Blakely ask you a question, because I know he's chomping at the bit since we've been talking about you and the great job you've done, clarify for everyone what the deal is. Brandon Adams came in overweight. He came in 1.2 pounds over. We were told that he's going to, have 2 hours to lose that weight. Assuming he loses the weight, great. If he doesn't lose the weight, what's plan B? Obviously, you're not going to want to scratch the fight. Is there going to be a monetary consolation, or do you have other fighters waiting to take the place? What's the story?
He has to make weight. If he doesn't make weight, we have an alternate fighter who is here, Willie Fortune from Michigan. And Willie weighed in at 160. If Brandon's got 1 hour and 9 minutes to cut the 1.2 pounds, which I think he will. If he doesn't, Willie's already weighed in, and Willie will fight.
Wow.
Okay, good.
Very good.
Blakely.
First of all, I loved the last week's show, the lightweights. It's probably the best Friday night show I've seen in maybe a year. Awesome show. I've talked about this a few times, but 3 of the 4 favorites lost last week, which is almost unheard of. Did you ever consider, I don't know how much you've taken your inspiration from the prize fighter in the UK, where they fight the fights. The whole tournament is one night. Is that something you would ever consider doing in the future?
Well, I actually did that, believe it or not, in 2002. We had a heavyweight tournament in Atlantic City with Cedric Kushner. And
the briefcase of money being waved around.
A friend of mine, Angelo Hyder, who's a good trainer, manager out of Australia, he and I were, quite frankly, having a lot of beer one night at a place in the States.
Not you.
Yeah, and we came up with this idea, and I mentioned it to Cedric's vice president, and he loved it, and they actually put it together. But unfortunately, what they did was they combined it with some music acts, and it really didn't work. Didn't sell well.
They had TV though.
They had TV, but they had pay-per-view. It didn't sell, and they. It was $100,000 for the winner. which, good amount of money. But I think if they had stepped it up and gotten some real stars, it would have worked better. Or if they did what Prize Fighter does, and they took some younger guys, they didn't have to pay $100,000, and, branded the concept, it would have worked that way. But what they did was they kind of like went in the middle, and the music just turned off the boxing people, and the music people had no interest in going and watching prize fighting, and it just tanked. But that was in 2002. So
yeah, we're in a resurgence now, but I know this is a tough question. In the back of your mind, and I know your job is to make them as competitive as possible, but in the back of your mind, do you have a feeling that you don't even have to mention who, but do you have a feeling who you think is going to come out on top?
No, that's the thing. I don't. And I'll tell you what, there was one guy in the lightweights that I really didn't give a shot to. And
Chris Rudd.
No,
I didn't give him a shot.
I actually gave him a shot, but because of the 6-round format, and also because Chris had a speed advantage over Amadou.
He had a smart game plan too.
Yeah, and he fought very well.
Yeah,
but look, there was one guy. I said, this guy I don't think has a shot, and he could make the finals, and he could actually win the thing. And so I think the same thing is true with the middleweights. There's a couple of guys here I haven't seen. I've never seen Kopalenko fight. I've never seen
Bekko. We just met him. Yeah. I never saw even footage.
Yeah, so it's exciting for me to watch because I don't know who's going to win the fight. Look, in my mind, I picked 4 of the fights last week, and I was 2 for 2. And that's the way it should be.
I was 3 out of 4.
Yeah. There you go.
Keep bragging.
No, the one I got wrong was the Chris Rudd fight.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Amadou, but I thought that Chris Rudd did a fantastic game plan, especially in the tiebreaker round.
Yeah.
Comes out as a southpaw,
Yeah.
and Amadou did nothing. The round that he should have stepped on the gas, he did nothing.
And the thing that's great about that is Chris Rudd, when he fights the semifinals, he's going to be a better fighter.
Oh yeah,
because that experience,
plus the confidence
under the lights and fighting a guy like Amadou, who's a real fighter, he's gonna go into March 28th. He's gonna be better.
How much do the corners, in your opinion, how much do the teams have to do with the success of the fighters in a tournament style like this?
Well, like I said, they to me, they have to tell them, especially in the opening round, you have to fight differently. You have to, you have to almost remember back to when you were a 4- and 6-round fighter.
Right.
You have to completely change, not your style, but your game plan, and, then gradually as you move on, obviously you go into an 8-rounder next and a 10-rounder next, and you adjust to that. But if they don't tell them that, they're doing their fighter a disservice. So they not only have to do it mentally, but physically too. They have to train like that,
So that's what Lou just said about the amateurs.
And it's so incredible because, Eric, first of all, I want to thank you again. I can't thank you enough. The show you put on with me last year, I still have people talking about it every day, how explosive, how great the show was, how competitive the fights. Everybody still talks about it and remembers it.
Are they asking you when you're going to fight again?
Absolutely. I'm going to talk to you later. But, it just goes to show these guys out here. It is such an important part of these fights and the styles making the fights. And, Eric, knowing these fighters on the surface and sometimes a little bit deeper, would put together a competitive show like this, and this is how you showcase, you highlight them. It's totally, and this is what we need. This is what boxing needs.
Right.
We need these steps right here to cultivate it.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And before we were all debating if the groundwork has been laid here to see other weight divisions. Is this something that you guys are going to continue doing? I hope.
I mean, I hope. Yeah. I think that I don't think this is a one and done. And
I mean, ESPN's got to be happy with it too.
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are. I think most importantly, the fans are happy.
Oh, the fans are loving it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this on my show every day. Since the last Friday, we've talked about that tournament.
And just as importantly, if this does get done again in a different weight class, I bet you I'm going to have a lot easier time to get fighters to come in.
Of course.
Because they're watching this and they're going, hey.
I could be
That could be me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me.
Exactly.
Well, every there's, in boxing, most fighters have a risk that they take to gain a reward, right? And the risks that these guys are taking, obviously, are like what you said. 7 of them are going to end up losing. But it's a worthwhile risk, don't you think?
Absolutely, because we're not, there's not like a trash bale where the losers are going in and we're shoving them off. We're bringing them back.
Right.
Yeah, we're bringing them back. The only...
Oh, is that the plan? You have like a consolation round?
Not a consolation round, but they're going to be fighting on the ESPN in the future, meaning we're contracted to give them a certain amount of fights, and ESPN has the attitude, hey, even if a guy is defeated in the tournament and he does well, he's exciting, we want him back. And the good thing is these guys are 8 and 10 round fighters, so we can bring them back in a co-feature. Or we can even match 2 of the guys that are defeated later in a co-feature. So
like a double elimination, we
can do a lot of things with that. So I don't think there's anyone. Look, Nikwe had a tough night last week, but he's 21-1. It was his first big step up. He got caught. But, when I was watching him initially in the first round, I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing. He was aggressive. He came out. He just got nailed. And that happens. Like you said, when you take a big risk, sometimes that's, especially early in a fight, anyone can get caught. But, we're going to bring him back. I mean, this is not the end of the world for these guys when they lose because, like you said, there's only one winner in each weight class. But I think all of them from the tournament are advancing their careers. All of them. Unless, God forbid someone lays an egg tomorrow night, because none of those guys last week laid an egg. They all performed.
Yeah.
They all came.
And like you said, every one of them realistically stepped up their level of opposition. So it's very hard for them to go back. They feel like they've kind of graduated now.
Exactly.
They're in another level.
That's so true. And what you were saying just a few minutes ago, you take a 10-round fighter. My last time fighting, my first time around the career was 10 rounds. I wanted to fight 10 rounds, this last one coming back, but I had to train for 4. And I had to be more explosive, punches and bunches, the way I ran with the sprints, the intervals. I had to gear myself to train and to fight like an amateur with the knowledge of a professional. It had to be in and out, explosive.
Yeah, and it took him around. Because when I watched
that first round.
Yeah, first round, I'm like, he was fighting this is going to go some distance.
Yeah.
And then it clicked in. It's like, I got to go.
Exactly.
I got to go.
And I came back after that first round, just like you said.
Yeah.
Just wanted to assess it, to see it, and I said, okay, I'm in a fight. I'm going to win this fight. And that was it. Turned it on, and I knew I had to punch it, and that was it. So that was good.
We were just talking about, you said Dantas, we talked about him, and his opponent is Willie Monroe Jr., who I've gotten to see, and he's another quality fighter. How do you think he's going to fare against your boy?
I think he's going to do very well. He's a good boxer. He was a great amateur. Well, they were both good amateurs, so they both got a lot of amateur experience. His dad and his uncle or his great uncle or somebody, they were all professional fighters, had good careers. And the only concern I really have about Monroe is that he had a loss against
Darnell Boone.
Yep.
Who's a
spoiler.
he's the guy. Remember who he beat?
Yeah,
Stevenson.
Yeah. So I just think that I haven't met him, but reading his interviews, I think maybe he took that loss a little bit hard. He's come back with, I think, 5 wins in a row. I think it's going to be a really good fight. I just I don't know who's mentally. I think Donatus may be mentally stronger than Monroe.
How do you think those cuts are going to be with him? Because he's obviously got some weak or damaged skin, I would think.
If his skin doesn't hold up, that could be the loss for him.
Willie Monroe has a win against Russell Jordan. People look at Russell Jordan's record and they say, he's not that good. But I know Russell Jordan, and he was a pretty tough guy. He was hard to beat. I know it doesn't look like that with double-digit losses, but I think Willie Monroe is a good fighter, and I think that that fight might be one of the ones that is the biggest question mark for me tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it really could go either way. I don't know who the favorite is in that fight. I would have to say it's Bondarovis because he's fighting at home. Like I said before, he's never lost in this building, so I think that the crowd's going to really be on his side and lift him up. And I do think he's going to win, but I think it's going to be close.
What do you think?
I know they're going to have to fight because I measured that ring and it's 16 feet 4 inches inside the ropes.
Wow.
It's the smallest ring I've ever used.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're going to have to fight.
Can't run.
it's a debate that is constantly discussed on our show about what this new generation calls the sweet science, and I just feel that although hit and not get hit is the definition, you got to have some entertainment value in there. And I think what we saw last week and what I'm anticipating seeing this week is what the fans want to see.
I just finished the book that Tyson, the autobiography of Tyson, and he said that was his thing that he was taught by Customato. He said it not only was to be a great fighter, but he said the bottom line is, you just used the word, you're an entertainer. So people want to be, when they come to a fight, they want to see a fight. And even sort of sacrificing some of look, he obviously had a lot of skills, and a lot of these guys at the elite level have skills. But, that's been the criticism of Pernell Whitaker, Floyd Mayweather, guys like that is, they're skillful enough to take more chances than they do, and they're not as entertaining as they could be, whereas other guys who put themselves at more risk, even when they don't want to do it or don't have to do it, those are the guys that the fans really want to see.
Arturo Gatti is a great example.
Sure.
He got into the Hall of Fame. A lot of people were against that because of lack of accomplishment. But like Blakely and I were talking about before, he brought something to the sport. Fans will love him.
He meant something, and
right.
And I think someone put it very well. They said it's a Hall of Fame. It's not a Hall of Talent or a Hall of Achievement.
Right.
Although the talent and achievement go hand in hand.
But you had to do something for the sport.
You have to have a significant impact in the sport.
Right.
And Arturo Gatti sold out Boardwalk Hall multiple times. No other, look, I've been going there for 20-something years. No other fighter did that.
Right.
And he really meant something to the sport.
No, I agree. The last fight, we haven't had a chance to talk about this one, but Vitaly Kopalenko is going up against Cesare Fort. That looks like a good one, too. I mean, as far as Kopalenko, I know that he's fought, he was busy, he fought 3 times last year. He's got wins. Blakely and I were talking about this. He's got, all these wins. He's undefeated 22-0 against what looks like good opponents on paper, but I don't know any of these guys. I mean, I've never heard of them, What should we expect?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I guess I'm not the only one.
No, I have no idea. I mean, Fort's a known quality because of the, he's fought here in the States, and he's, you look at the guys that he's fought, we know who they are and how he's done with them. Kopalenko, I have no idea. I mean, it's a total mystery. So that's
boxing.
Yeah, that's one that I want to watch all these fights, but especially for me being a matchmaker, I need to watch that because the first time I'm seeing this guy was when he steps in the ring tomorrow night, and it's not only good that he's fighting a guy like Fort, but he's fighting in a strange country, under the lights, live on national television. This is going back.
It's added pressure. It's going to be something.
It's a lot of pressure. Exactly right.
See, that's a whole nother aspect.
Whole other dimension he hasn't had.
Yeah. No, and a lot of them haven't. So
exactly.
I mean, Daniel Edouard is the most experienced guy, but we keep talking. He's also the guy that has the longest layoff, 3 years. Every other fighter had a busy 2013.
Yep.
So. Hey, listen, I'm anticipating another great.
It's gonna be a great show. It's gonna be a great show.
Yeah.
What's your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I can't wait to see it. At least 2 or 3 of the fights, I have no idea who's going to win. So.
But who did you pick on the challenge?
You really want to know, don't you?
Well, it's already done. I already have them. They're
That's
already
right.
filed. So But
Well, I do think that Fort. I'm picking him to beat Kopalenko. I've seen a little bit of footage of Kopalenko. He stands tall. He keeps his hands very high. He counter punches. He likes to throw an overhand right over the jab or slip the jab to his left and come up with a left uppercut. He can box, but I don't know about the level of opposition. He's mostly fought in Switzerland. I think that Fort, like you said, he's a known quality. He's coming off a knockout loss, but he's bigger. He's younger. He has. I don't think Kopalenko can hurt Fort, so I'm going with Fort. I think, I hate to say this, but at least Daniel Edouard's not sitting here anymore, so he can't attack me. But I'm not.
I know he picked against Daniel.
I picked against him, but now after the weigh-in, I don't like seeing a fighter come in overweight.
Daniel Edouard said something. It's not professional. in a sense. You know what? Let me tell you.
Yeah, but it could have been something as
It could-
simple
it
as
could
a
be.
scale that they were weighing themselves
But here's
on.
the thing. I had, for my 14th birthday, I had a medical doctor scale. Gave it
They
to
had
me.
birthdays back
They
then?
did. My father bought it for me for my wrestling career, and then it turned into my boxing career. I still have that scale in my garage today. I don't want to tell you how old it is. Forget about it. But it still works.
You have to put rocks
It's
on one side.
it's still, hey, Kayla used it with me. It's still balanced. And the whole thing is this. You know, no matter where I went to train or this and that, I would also, still in my bathroom today, is a scale, a regular scale you step on. I balanced it. It says it's 6 pounds when you start because that's the scale. And you don't do this. You're a professional, and you do your best to make that weight the first time. There was never, it's not about me anymore, but my wrestling career and my boxing career, there was never one instance that I was ever overweight. I knew exactly what I weighed. And it was over.
It's funny you said about Daniel. When I was analyzing all these fighters, with the exception of the layoff, to me, I thought Daniel was the favorite in this. Because of the level of opposition that he's fought, the amount of rounds he's fought. But the layoff is a huge issue. I mean, we won't know until tomorrow.
Correct. Yeah, the layoff is a big issue. A lot of people were harping on his age, but the oldest guy in the tournament is Ponderavas.
Right.
But he's been active, and and
How
he's
old is he?
34.
He's a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean,
Sal's got socks older than him.
yeah.
I fought with him.
So that fight's a mystery because he's fighting the most inexperienced guy, and Brandon only had 4 amateur fights. But he's I had heard about Brandon even before the tournament. He's a very good gym fighter. He's very competitive, and he wanted to step up. So it's intriguing because we don't know how good he is, and he doesn't know how good he is. He's going to find out tomorrow night.
Well, that was Eric Boccia. He's the matchmaker for the Boxcino tournaments, we should say, and hopefully we'll see some more. Also joining us was Sal Cenicola and Blakely Berger from BillyCBoxing.com. I'm Billy C. Thank you for joining us on LDL TVs, which was brought to us by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Restaurante in St. Simons, Georgia.
Thank you very much. So I want to say one last thing. I want to thank
Rock,
you for
Colombo.
making. Oh, by the way,
One more thing.
one
more thing.
I want to thank you guys for inviting me and letting me be a part of this. It puts me back in the game that I love. And I also want to thank my girlfriend, Kayla. You know what? I haven't flown since 1995. Kayla, come over here. Get over here.
Let's thank
I haven't flown. She held my hand. I got on a plane with her, and we flew for the first time since 1994. It's harder than me going back to the ring in 25 years.
That was your biggest mistake. You're supposed to get in the plane. You don't get on the plane.
You know.
Join us next time on Billy C. Take care.